We are live.
Oh,
Matty, Kiwoom, Cody Carpentier. The Hurdle is back Tuesday night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Episode 89. The preseason is here. Week 1, we're going to recap it, the winners and losers from the NFL preseason. Week 1. But first, before we talk about football, Matty, Kiwoom, we have to talk about the Fantasy Football EXPO Expo. I missed it. This is the first show back. Last week, you were there.
Mm-hmm.
I was not. And I was jealous. I was upset. I was mad. I was sad. Give me the tea.
So, I'll just start by saying you were missed. We were very sad. We, as boys do, we laid the guilt trip as hard as possible. That's just what the bros do. But, I sent you a text letting you know how we really felt. But I'm not going to get into details about the expo because, quite frankly, if you want to experience the shithouse, you got to, 1, sign up for the South Harmon FF Patreon, 2, get in that damn Discord, and 3, get ready for sign-up sheets because we're going to do the expo bigger and better next year. Bigger and better than anyone has ever done the expo. And as Big Fizzle Dollars in the chat says, the Wolf Pack, the NWO of fantasy football, the bad boys of fantasy football will continue to grow, continue to have fun there in Canton. And it's become a week that is, look forward to 365 days away.
I already saw in the Discord, there's the expo chat. People were pinning the dates for next year already. I already put it in my calendar. I haven't bought my flight yet, but I already got it in my calendar. I'm already dialed in. I just want you to know the guilt trip was taken positively. I was stressing. I was trying to, my wife's brother is a pilot, so he gets us standby flights. I was like trying to maneuver, flying in on late Wednesday night, flying back out on early Saturday morning, trying to maneuver it. And I was just like, I can't fucking, it was,
it's
nerve wracking as hell. But
I was just gonna say too, we all know that like there was a whole week planned for travel, and when it gets cut basically in half, and now you're looking for flights that you hadn't even been looking at last minute, like obviously it sucks, but life happens. I didn't go last year, I went this year,
but so nobody's
it's like 2 ships in the night. We're gonna be right there next year though.
Nobody's here to listen to me complain and cry and bitch and moan. They're here to talk about winners and losers from the NFL preseason week 1. And Matty, I'm just going to start with one simple player. He goes by not a nickname, but a phrase. 2 lightning bolts, each hamstring, bazooka. Jalen Wright, 10 carries, 55 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Now, he did come in after Jeff Wilson, who had 5 carries for a 7 yards for Miami. This is going to be a mess, I think, in Miami. It's going to be Achane. It's going to be Mostert from the jump. But Wright's going to get carries. Wilson probably makes this team. Wilson probably starts week 1 of the season. It would not surprise me if he starts the season as wide running back 3. I'm going to be interested to see how they deploy this, but I'm going to completely continue smashing that Jalen Wright draft button in round 11, round 12. I remember a year ago drafting Kendra in round 10, Roshan in round 11. Jalen Wright poses things that neither of those guys did. Like I said, lightning bolts attached to each hamstring, bazooka, boom, gone, down the field, touchdown. You saw the burst, you saw the vision, you saw the speed to bend the edge this weekend. That was a big takeaway. Jalen Wright is a big winner for Miami.
Listen, quite frankly, the Jalen Wright job snatching tour has begun. Jeff Wilson, like you said, he may win that celebratory kind of seniority role in RB3, but it's over. McDaniel has seen enough, and then next will be Mostert. But Jalen Wright after week 1, how can he not be a riser here? when guys go to the nuts landing spot, it's time to just give in. Jalen Wright went to the nuts landing spot. Nothing wrong with that. Ain't mad about it at all. Another takeaway I did have from that game, a bit of a riser, for me anyway, was Malik Washington. Super deep, but with the emergence of these fantasy leagues that award kickoff yardage points, it looks as if Malik Washington is going to be in line to do punt returns and kick returns. I know that was kind of slated for Braxton Berrios, but man, Malik Washington showed he has the juice. He is a McDaniel special, taking an end around for 21 yards, making some nice runs off kickoffs. And with these new rules, if you're in a league that awards points to kickoffs or punt returns, Malik Washington has to be on your radar now.
Hey, last year he led the country in receptions, I think, with 143 at Virginia. Maybe it was targets. I think it was receptions, 143.
Receptions, I believe.
I mean, the guy was this year's DeMario Douglas. So he got kind of put into a situation in Miami where it's like, yeah, we're probably not going to worry about that guy. But I think it was positive to see him get that work, get 4 targets, get a carry out of the backfield for Mr. Malik Washington. Can we go to Denver?
Oh, we can.
Because
absolutely.
The McLaughlin stuff, Jaleel McLaughlin, the running back, coming through camp, it's been a pretty good drumbeat about him being the clear number 2 in this backfield. Javonte was a big question. C. Kirk Walsh in the chat. What's up, brother? The Javonte thing was interesting. Was he going to look like the guy, or was he going to look like a guy that tore his ACL 2 years ago? And people have been drafting him as if he was going to be injured, or play like he was injured, or play like he was coming off an Achilles or something. He's coming off an ACL. Javonte's sick. Still. I love Estime. Estime looks good. He's a between the tackles grinder that can work out of the backfield, I thought. McLaughlin feels like he has that number 2 role locked up. I love this backfield as a whole a lot more today than I did maybe 2 weeks ago, where I was like, yeah, I don't love Javonte. Contract's going to expire. McLaughlin, is what he is. I think Estime's going to take this job, which is going to be pukey in the long run. Blake Watson, who did a little bit here, scored a touchdown, but I feel a lot better today about Javonte. I feel a lot better about McLaughlin. And I feel fantastic about getting Javonte in 2024.
See, I looked at this as a faller. This is a loser for us in fantasy football because I'm fading
Javonte.
I'm fading everyone in this backfield because they all looked good. Javonte looked like his pre-injury self. P. Ryan absolutely sucks, but he was on the field for 3rd downs. He was on the field for the 2-minute drill. And at least there's some speculation that he makes this team. McLaughlin looks sharp. I keep fading this kid, and I will continue to fade it. Like I always fade the 5'4", 120-pound running backs, the Keaton Mitchells. But he looks sharp. He looks effective. And then P. Ryan is still my favorite back on this entire roster. So for my redraft purpose, for seasonal purposes, I'm fading everybody. And in Dynasty, I'm just going to play the market and continue to acquire or flip around the cheapest asset until I can just grab and hold Estime, because I still think this is kind of the path is there. It's such a bumpy path. So many things are going to happen. And if they all stay healthy, well, then it's going to be great for Sean Payton. It's going to be really good for this offense, but it's going to punish the fantasy gamers because we know that Sean Payton loves at least 2 running backs, right? The Kamara Ingram was such a dynamic duo for so long in New Orleans. And then you even dial it back to the Darren Sproles days. Like he always likes using different kinds of running backs. And if they're all looking pretty good, even if P. Ryan gets cut, you're looking at Javonte, kind of Javonte light in Audric Estime, and the scat back, satellite back in McLaughlin. And you're just, no, thank you. I'm fading all of them in my seasonal purposes.
What if, God, this doesn't work. You know how like usually when they're talking about trades, something usually comes out of left field and it's like, oh, they were talking about trading Stafford here, but actually he's going to the Rams.
Yeah.
This is one of the places where I wish Denver had money. It looks like they're first in dead cap right now. I wish they had some money and they could somehow flip like a Cortland Sutton plus for Brandon Ayuk or something. Because I would love for a different level of, revitalization to this receiver room because it's putrid.
It's big.
Huh?
I mean, it's noticeably big, though. I mean, you look at the wide receivers on this team; they're all huge, but none of them really fit what Sean Payton wants to do with Bo Nix. Bo Nix threw the ball 20? He completed like 17 passes for like 120 yards. I mean, he was just checked down city. Even the touchdown pass came within the 4. I believe it was in close, but it does look like Bo Nix might be a smash if you did your rookie drafts early for Superflex.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is going to be good, but I'm kind of sad for him because it's like you look what Caleb has, you look at what JJ had. JJ hopefully doesn't. I mean, JJ tore his meniscus this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but he's got weaponry around him. So when he does become the starter eventually, at the end of the year or next year, he's got weaponry there in JJ and Addison. Daniels has McLaurin. He's got Dotson. He's got Ertz, a veteran. Drake May really doesn't have a ton up north there. He's got some rookies, but he doesn't have veteran presence.
In a minute, we'll talk about that team. Oh my!
He doesn't have a veteran presence. And then like you look at Bo Nix and what he's got, and it's like, hell yeah, man. We got Tim Patrick back. Hell yeah, man. We got Josh Reynolds. Hell yeah, man. Little Jordan Humphrey's going to have a role in this offense. Like, what? What kind of success is like, okay, we got Cortland Sutton, though. Well, guess what? Cortland Sutton's not today what he was 5 years ago.
He's good, though. I mean, he even looked good on Sunday, 2 for 35 on 3 targets. I think he would be a very good number 2 receiver. What they needed was Judy to be what he was at Bama, and he was a far cry of that. And Ayuk would be Judy at, like, how do you say this? Ayuk is what we thought Judy would be, if that makes sense. So that would actually be a nice pairing right there.
Bingo.
But they'd have to pay him $42 million a year because apparently Ayuk thinks he's better than every receiver in the NFL.
Bingo. Let's go to the bush. Green bush here. Sean Clifford had the most pass attempts at the quarterback position, but the big man, the money man, Jordan Love, 2 for 2, 63 yards in a Tuggatron. That's all that really matters. It's all that really matters. Because Dontavian Wicks.
This offense is LOADED 5 exclamation points. It's freaking loaded. But I'm sorry, Dontavian Wicks is pushing someone aside. Might not be Romeo Dubes. It's looking like it's going to be Christian Watson. Christian Watson might become the Gabe Davis of this offense, the Martavis Bryant, the win route, the win sprint guy.
He's
going to become
Jalen Guyton.
Oh yes, I didn't
say that. Did I? Did I say that out loud? Shit. I thought it, but I wasn't sure if it was going to come out of my mouth or not.
Oh, mi corazón. Oh, he is so right. He is. Jalen Guyton. Christian Watson is going to be Jalen Guyton. Sucks to say, but Dontavian's too sick nasty. Romeo Dubes, you kind of dropped the first nugget last Wednesday when we recorded the hurdle last week from the Expo. And since that day, the drumbeat for Dubes continues to soar. Jaden Reed's nasty. Luke Musgrave's good. Like Christian Watson looks like to be the guy that's going to push that. And still, that's not even enough. Bo Melton still looks good on this team. Malik Heath in this offense could be a lifeboat if 15 injuries happen. It's crazy how loaded this offense is. Loaded.
Did you hear LaFleur talking about, some guy asked him about the receivers and he goes something about wide receiver ones. He's like,
makes him sick to his stomach.
And he's like, it makes me want to vomit. And he goes, well, I didn't ask you like who was the one. I'm saying like all 4 of these guys can be the number 1. And he goes, yeah. And guess what? Bo Melton came in last year and he was the first 100-yard receiver for us. And I was like,
yep. Right. Speed, baby. Speed. A loser from this game, though, it's got to be Marshawn Lloyd for our seasonal leagues.
Yep.
Because Josh Jacobs is going to get 83% of the snaps. He was on all 3 downs with Jordan Love, and I know that, history says Matt LaFleur doesn't use one guy. Matt LaFleur has never had a running back as complete as Josh Jacobs. I know Aaron Jones was awesome, but he was undersized, and he had to work his way into that role where Josh Jacobs, former first-round pick, Alabama blue chipper, he hasn't had a complete back like this before. And if you don't think that Matt LaFleur is going to use him in all situations, you are sorely mistaken. And it is going to take an injury to him, a long-term injury to him, to get Marshawn Lloyd back in that path. Now, I'm still okay with Lloyd in Dynasty because, of course, the Packers do have an out with Jacobs after this year, but it's looking like Jacobs will be a bell cow, no question. I think we're looking at 70% snap type stuff.
We got the tidbit from LaFleur. I think it was last week. Let's see if I can find my note here on him about Lloyd. He said he's a work in progress. He missed a lot of time, a lot of valuable reps. And the tweet was in context of he missed a lot of super valuable reps, but he's a guy in terms of the skill set that we're super excited about. And there was a quote that I heard later talking about him redshirting in quotes this year. So that was super distraughtful. And they kind of alluded to A.J. Dillon being that back. One more note here about the Packer game. Did you watch the end of the second half of this game? Because I did not.
No, I skedaddled out of this game.
So when you went back and looked at the box score, you went back and looked at the box score and you saw Jay Howard, 8 carries, 44 yards. What was the first thing that came to your mind?
Jordan Howard found another team?
Same. I thought the same thing. Turns out it's Jarvian Howard, 5'10", 215-pound running back out of Elkhorn State, not Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard is indefinitely out of the league at this current stage of the game. Let's move on to the Kansas City back-to-back defending Super Bowl champions. Hollywood Brown exited this game. He had a sternoclavicular injury, out 4 to 6
Very good.
weeks.
Well, what are you, married to a doctor?
What, am I married to a doctor? I don't know if I am or not. Sternoclavicular. It's
pretty good.
Maybe I stole one of her medical school books and did not do that. Did not do that. So they say he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, which is projecting to be about around week 3 or 4 of the regular season. So that's going to continue to bump up. And if you've been looking at ADPs, it's been Brown, it's been Rice, it's been Worthy. And these guys are like back to back to back going off in like the 80s. At least they have been the last month and a half. I think you're going to continue to see that shit pass in the night, which is going to be Worthy and Rice. Rice seems to be the guy taking that step ahead at the current stage of ADP movements. What do you take away from this Chiefs game? Because we didn't see really too much of the super skill guys, but what do you think?
It's impossible to not mention Hollywood Brown as a loser. Or for, just the injury is going to cause him to just be delayed in the rapport with Pat Mahomes. And as we get closer and closer to the season, we're getting more and more certain that Rashee Rice is not going to have a suspension this year. So with his emergence as an effective player and a winner for the Chiefs last year, it's going to solidify his role. And Worthy has a skill set that is so tantalizing, it would make you forget about 95% of receivers in this league. So on a 1-year deal, it was a prove-it deal. And if the offense shows in these weeks without Brown that they don't really need him, then I don't think we ever see flashes of Hollywood Brown for the Cardinals. And that is what got me so excited about Hollywood, was there may be some games where he sees 11 targets. I don't think we see that now. And I think what we see is a lot of 3 receptions, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, those will be the spike weeks for Hollywood in our seasonal formats. That is for the dogs. Do not like that at all. The clear winner for me. And so far, 1 week in, this guy is my biggest winner on the preseason. It's Isaiah Pacheco. Say it with me, everybody. 3 down back.
I thought you were going to say, who the fuck is Carson Steele? That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, I know who Carson Steele is.
I know who he is too. He's in the Shrine Bowl.
Sunshine.
But I think it's funny.
Ball State alum, stand up. But the fact that he was on the field every single snap with Patrick Mahomes, caught his lone target, and then of course we already know he's an effective rusher. There was 0 boxes that was left to check in terms of Isaiah Pacheco in the run game on this team. And now if we open up the passing and we can see a career high in receptions, we know he has 12 touchdown upside. We know he might even have 15 touchdown upside if he's going to stay on the field. Remember how many touchdowns did Jerick McKinnon snake with the jet sweeps and the shovel passes and the little gimmick plays? If that's Pacheco, he has upside like very few running backs truly have. And to be quite frank, I think we have to start looking at this guy with top 8 running back on the year upside.
Yep. First, let's look at this question from Franz. He's talking about Rashee Rice, Cooper Kupp, and JSN Dynasty startup. C. Kirk says Rice for upside, Kupp for competition. What do you say for Rashee Rice, which I think is an interesting conversation right now where he's going off in totality. But as far as where you'd rank these guys in a Dynasty startup, do you have any off the top of your dome?
I think 1 week in, and maybe this is just me playing a little overreaction theater, but sue me. I think Franz listed it the way I'm ranking it. JSN played too many snaps in a game that no one else played in. He doesn't look to be dominant like we thought. Now, again, 1 preseason game. I'm not writing off JSN whatsoever, but I'm certainly not putting him up in my rankings where Rice is going to surge up my seasonal rankings and even dynasty rankings because I think it looks like he will be there for all 17 this year. We can cross the bridge of next year when we get it in Kupp. Although I like Kupp, if you're looking to compete, I think Rashee Rice has more value now and probably more upside going forward, where JSN for me right now is in a bit of a hold. I ain't buying for what people are selling, and I'm not really selling for what people are buying, so I'm just kind of a hold, wait, and see, and he's one of those guys that I'll just kind of wait and potentially be wrong on. I'm okay with that with the JSN because seeing, that usage in week 1, it's just a bit concerning. New regime. Yeah, and at the end of the day, let's not forget DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are awesome football players.
Yeah.
Jason doesn't have jobbers in front of him to climb. He's going to have to outplay very good football players in an offense that looks like it's going to run the shit out of the football. So I would say for me right now, JSN, I don't know if he's a loser, but he certainly wasn't the winner type that you would have thought given how many snaps he played in week 1 of the preseason.
I would agree on him not being a winner. However, we're talking dynasty here, and he did just turn 22 in February. So I'm gonna still have JSN here. I have JSN still as a top 30 dynasty player in 1 QB. And then I would go Kupp and Rice. I have just damn near back to back. I think Kupp's gonna get sick this year, but that floor could fall out at any time. And you have 7 years left before. 7 years difference between Rice and Kupp. So I think I would go JSN, Rice, Kupp. But I think the theory still stands the same, and I completely understand where you could be, hesitant completely on the JSN thing. The reason I feel decent about it is the fact that, even if he gives you a little bit this year and a little bit next year, and then it's like that 4th year, Lockett's retired or whatever, and Smith breaks out, and this is a guy. This is the prototype I want. The 6 foot, 195, running 4.4s, 4.8s, whatever it is. And a dominator on the inside as a route runner. I don't think he's going to bust like a Jerry Jeudy did. And even Jerry Jeudy had a couple 700, 900-yard seasons. So I got to stay in there. But let's go back to Pacheco. You brought up Pacheco as a, what'd you say, top 7?
I think, top 7, top 8 type running back this year on a points per game basis.
All right.
He's set to smash.
Let's play process of elimination. Do you have have you been working on like your win sheet that we're trying to get up at southharmon.ff.com?
Well, my win sheet is actually completed because I was able to even sit down with the legendary Koopa Troopa in Canton and hammer these bad boys out. And we got a system in place. So yes.
All right, cool. So I'm going to read off some names. I want you to tell me if you would prefer Pacheco or them. All right. We'll start here. Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Pacheco.
Barkley.
Kyron Williams, Isaiah Pacheco.
After this week, I've moved Isaiah Pacheco above Kyron Williams.
Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco.
After this week, I have moved Isaiah Pacheco above Derrick Henry.
Jahmyr Gibbs, Isaiah Pacheco.
I'm still going Gibbs. I'm not fading him just yet. I'm not yet. Still plenty of weeks to heal up.
Travis Etienne, not Trevor. Travis Etienne.
I got Travis Etienne. I have Etienne above Barkley, and I love that when I watch that play, that Texas route that they call it, the angle route.
Yep.
Watching him develop in the passing game has been awesome to see. And I mean, with these downfield pass catching targets for the Jaguars, if Etienne's going to run those plays that made Devontae Freeman so good for the Falcons, I love Etienne this year. So Etienne for me is still, I got him high. I got Etienne as a top 16 overall player in the season.
France, everything you can find is over at southharmonff.com or patreon.com/South Harmon. That's where your boys got all their stuff going up on the daily throughout the entire season and going forward, because that's where you kick ass. Franz, man, appreciate you. Shout out. All right, Matty. So that gives me, do you have Jonathan Taylor below those guys?
No, I got Jonathan Taylor above, but I do.
Okay.
I am going to be taking Pacheco at a slight ADP discount over A-Chain.
Okay, so McCaffrey, Hall, Bijan, Taylor, Barkley.
Yep.
Etienne.
Yep.
And then it's a fight between Pacheco and Gibbs for number 7.
It's Gibbs, Rachaad White, Pacheco.
Whoa, you got White up there.
Oh, I just love Rachaad White. I love Rachaad White.
Okay. All right. I got White a little bit further down. I'm a little more hesitant on White this year going into the season.
1.5 warp guy last year, and he just hasn't clicked efficiently. And he's just too freak of an athlete to not have an efficiency bump in year 3.
I think this is a big conversation that I don't want to have at the 27-minute mark of a show. I'd rather have a show surrounded around it. So we're going to come back to Rachaad White next week.
Let's more preseason games. A little more
preseason. We're probably not going to get any action from him, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about maybe we'll centralize next week's show around some of these running backs, some of these ADPs, because I think there's a few of them that are very much up for conversation. Matty, where do you want to finish? What team, what winner, what loser do you want to finish with tonight?
Let's see. Let's go through my notes here. I'm going to go with the biggest loser on the weekend. It's Drake May. Drake May was the biggest loser on the weekend. I'm not quite there yet, but I am treating Drake May in Dynasty like a rock in Chernobyl after the reactor collapsed. I want nothing to do with Drake May. I'm not ready to call him a bust, but I want nothing to do with Drake May, and it has nothing to do with the kid. The New England Patriots are a bunch of monkeys trying to fuck a coconut right now. It is a shit show, and what they have done organizationally for Drake May, it's going to go down as an all-time blunder. We're coming off today, Tuesday. Patriots had joint practice with the Eagles, and beat writers saying it's the worst they've ever seen the Patriots look over the last 25 years in a single practice. We're talking about Drake May was sacked 4 of his final 6 dropbacks. Do you want, like, every other time he drops back, he's getting hit. And so I've been really kind of thinking about this and really trying to wrap my head around it. I mean, like I said, I was in the car. I was telling you before, I was in the car 11 hours today. Did a lot of driving, a lot of thinking, a lot of sports radio, a lot of thoughts. The way that the Patriots have developed or are going to try to develop Drake May is going to be catastrophic because he needs a lot of help, a lot of development, and everything that they've done has been the wrong decision for him. And it starts with hiring a lame duck offensive coordinator. I called it when it happened, and I haven't changed my mind one iota. Alex Van Pelt is a dud offensive coordinator. He was only hired because he's being paid by the Browns, and the Browns didn't like him so much they were paying him to go coach New England Patriots, a team in their conference. They don't care. He's not going to help with Drake May. His offense seems to be catering Jacoby Brissett over a guy like Drake May. And yeah, I know I've been a wait-and-see guy with May. Let him sit. That's fine. Gerard Mayo, I got to say early on, it looks like these responsibilities are too much. This guy's never he has no pedigree in terms of being even a coordinator. I know he was technically, but he never got the title. Why is that? Why did Belichick never give him the title? Doesn't seem like he's going to do the right things. And Elliott Wolf, to me, there is no clearer take that I have about the New England Patriots than this. He absolutely dropped the ball by not trading back to 6 and getting a first-round pick in 25. And with that 6th pick, taking J.C. Latham, Malik Neighbors, Byron Murphy, get me a less projectable guy because this team is lacking guys. They don't got dudes. And now, not only in the cherry on top, is they drafted the single worst type of quarterback you can when developing a young prospect like May. Joe Milton will always look good when Joe Milton needs to do things when it doesn't really matter. We know when he gets on the field, he won't play. We saw him in college. We know he's not a good quarterback. But what do you think Drake May is thinking when he's on the sidelines as he's running 62 yards, crowd's going wild, runs for the first down, throws an absolute laser rocket for a touchdown, and he's doing it every single day in practice because there's no pressure on. There's barely pads on. The development that the steps that the Patriots have taken to draft and develop a prospect like Drake May, this is super early. And of course, things can change. You can reload the front office like Trevor Lawrence and completely overhaul all the coaching around him, and it gets him back a little bit right on the ship. There's a lot of things that can happen, so he's not a bust yet. But the way I see it, if this continues to be the plan for the Patriots, worst case scenario is Daniel Jones. Best case scenario is Ryan Tannehill when he becomes a decent player on his next team. It's not good up here in New England. It's not good. Not good.
Well, it can never be a perfect draft class. Can't go 6 for 6, so you got to start checking them off, and that sure seems like one of the spots to go. Let's end on something positive here. The Rams social media released a tweet this afternoon that said, a quote from Coach McVay on Jordan Whittington. He's going to be a factor for us. So, Matty, if you watched any of the Rams game, you know who Jordan Whittington is. And as a Texas analyst, I'll tell you Jordan Whittington's really good when he's healthy. I want to read off a couple of statistics to you, and I want to get your thoughts on if you believe that Jordan Whittington quote from Coach McVay portrays of a wide receiver 3 with upside and someone we should be talking about in fantasy football. Cooper Kupp's rookie preseason week 1 and 2. 3 targets, 2 receptions, 35 yards. Second week, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. Kupp did not play the rest of the preseason, week 3 or 4. Puka Nakua's rookie season was last year. Week 1, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. Puka Nakua did not play the rest of the preseason, weeks 2 or 3. Jordan Whittington, week 1, preseason, rookie year, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 74 yards. Will Jordan Whittington play for the rest of the preseason, weeks 2 and 3? And if you want a reference point, Tutu Atwell played all 3 games of his rookie season. He was targeted 29 times, and he's not exactly the center of the offense.
I think Jordan Whittington plays one more week, and he can have the week 1 performance and still be on the same trajectory. After watching this game, like maybe I'm just throwing heat tonight, but I think Jordan Whittington might be one of the most valuable wide receiver handcuff types in Dynasty right now. If there's an injury to Kupp or an injury to Nakua, it seems like this kid's going to step in and be that exact type of receiver that Matt Stafford and Sean McVay love and know how to utilize in a truly special way. Now, you mentioned the injuries for Whittington himself. Of course, that's an issue. The value doesn't go through the roof in Dynasty. I'm not giving up a third for him. But if he's on my free agent wire, I'm looking to use some fab. And if I can get him as a throw-in and just kind of stash him away on my my taxi squad, like I said, this guy's looking like a one of the most valuable handcuffs at the wide receiver position for Dynasty.
He's Matty Kiwoom. I'm Cody Carpentier. You can find him on Twitter at Matty Kiwoom. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Carpentier. It's called X, not Twitter, but I just wanted to say that twice because I am legally not going to finish that sentence. This has been The Hurdle, episode 89. We appreciate you. We love you. Click that like button, tap in, click subscribe. We'll be back next week, every week on Tuesday night at 8, 8:10, 8:15, 8:05. You name it. We're there. You're here. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Peace.